I think there's a crisis in the comic book business, and the fact that black characters don't sell, are the canary in a coal mine. That indicates a far bigger problem in the comic book business. For example, in the magazine world, there was a period in the 90s where The Source, a hip hop music magazine, was outselling Rolling Stone, which was sort of the premier rock and roll magazine. And that speaks to a giant shift in terms of the broader American cultural interests. But for some reason, comic books, a publication just like Rolling Stone and The Source, has never been able to plug into that broader demographic. In other words, there are more people who don't read comic books than there are that do. So focusing on pleasing this very, very narrow slice of pie seems ridiculous given that there's a huge rest of the pie, there's 7/8 of the pie that's not being addressed at all. And perhaps the reason why that 7/8 isn't participating in, comic book entertainment is because the books that are being published don't speak to them. And they're interested in a different flavor. Whenever I've done signings, it's a very diverse crowd. It's a lot more women, it's multi-generational, it's multiracial, folks from other countries. And when I talk to comic book retailers, they say, Reggie, the days when your book comes out, it's a different crowd than I normally get. And I like that. I don't want to just keep selling to the same people. I want different types of people coming in, because once they come in, they may plug into something else I know.
Why do you think it's different when your books come out?
Well, either my audience is people who grew up on the Black Panther and they're like, oh, he's back. I will go back into comic books for that, because while this book is speaking to me today, the way I want to be spoken to. Or it's just people who never read comics, but they're reading that comic. I mean, the same way I talk to retailers and they say, yeah, Reggie, the same way folks who come in to buy Neil Gaiman books like Sandman aren't the same folks who come in for other comic books. So those distinct audiences are very important from a retail perspective, from every perspective. I mean, look at Blade. 3 movies making $100 million each, but they cannot have a Blade series. That's unbelievable. That clearly there's a huge audience that loves the idea of this character, but somehow they can't make it work to this very, very narrow comic book buying demographic.